What is up? What is up, YouTube? I got to turn the fan on. I'm in the Philippines, man, and it's hotter than 100 hamburgers. Check this out. I actually did rotten mangoes just a while ago, man, and it blew my mind. So we right back at the rotten mango. Wanted raw meat coat YouTuber hires acid attack on girlfriend and son while posting about eating humans. What? Do I supposed to be saying all this stuff? You know, sometimes YouTube don't like when you say stuff, so we might bleep some of these words out. Anyway, y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Hey, rotten mangoes, man, this is incredible. Let's check it out. Here we go, y'all. Man, I just hit. Here we go.
10 seconds, at least initially.
Bada bing, bada boo.
The little portable potty. That is exactly what Diane is forgetting. She goes into her backyard to grab her son's portable potty. I mean, he sits there, he does his business there. And that's when she sees her neighbors pulling their trash cans out onto the street to be picked up. She's thinking, how is it already trash day already? I mean, this doesn't even make sense. Diane's a single mom. She's quite young. So all of this is a lot. She's trying to stay on track. She's got a little calendar, but she feels like it was just trash day like yesterday. How is it trash day already? Again? Nevertheless, she grabs her trash cans, wheels it out, and just as she reaches the street, bam, she gets hit on the back of her head with a metal pipe. Not once, not twice, but 9 times she gets whacked with this metal pipe. She's looking up and she's begging these 2 random attackers to stop whatever they're doing. She sees a man she doesn't recognize that's hitting her with this pipe, and then she sees this young girl next to him giggling. And she's screaming, please, I have a son, I have a son. She sees the girl hand the attacker a bottle. They crack it onto her face and it starts burning instantly. This is not a normal burning sensation. It feels like her skin, it's becoming Swiss cheese. There's holes burning into her. It's acid. She keeps screaming, please let me live, I have a son. They pull her up to the fence. They start kicking her stomach. She manages to wrestle the metal pipe away, get up and start running. They throw the acid bottle at her. It starts dripping down her back. She doesn't know what to do. She starts running towards a neighbor's house, just hoping they're gonna open the door, just hoping that they're even home. And she's knocking. One of the neighbors sees her. They open the door, grab her in, lock it. They're calling the emergency services. Diane runs directly to the shower. She's trying to wash all this acid out of her eyes, from her nose, inside her mouth. It's burning her whole hands. She's looking down. The whole shower is bloody. Just blood flowing down into the little drain. She knows exactly who did this. It's her ex-boyfriend. The man that she shares a child with, he's the one that must have paid this attacker to do this. Her ex-boyfriend is a YouTuber named 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦, and she remembers the first time he was arrested. First time that things were just not right. This is even before she had her son. So a few years ago, the 2 of them were in London. Every single person passing by them is staring at her boyfriend, 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦. I mean, it's his necklace. It's the middle of the day. I mean, who wears that kind of necklace? Even if it's not the daytime, even nighttime. It's just weird. Some people are even whipping out their phones to take a picture as proof, evidence, to show their friends, look at this guy's necklace. Because around the man's neck, around 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦's neck, is a little bird hanging on a string, dead, completely defeathered.
What do you mean? Like?
Killed, dead, defeathered, just a bird carcass.
Okay.
If you point your phone at him to take a video and he sees you, he might just turn around and smile. And then you're going to get more scared because between his teeth, there's just chunks of red blood. His whole mouth is bloodied. And it's from the dead squirrel that he is ripping apart in his hands to eat raw in front of the vegan market. He is standing outside a vegan market in London with a squirrel. He's managed to rip open the squirrel's stomach area and he's just digging in, eating it raw, and he's smiling. He did this last week in another city, but instead of a dead squirrel, he was chowing down on a decapitated pig head raw. Arguably, I guess the squirrel is much easier to carry around, it's more compact, but one passerby is staring at him like, why are you doing this, dude? I mean, I eat meat, but I don't do this in front of a vegan festival. 𝗟𝗡𝗡 later explains he's doing this for the vegans. He's trying to show them the dangers of not eating meat. He's trying to save them. They're all putting their lives at risk and he can help them. My message is veganism is malnutrition, and the reason I and other people eat raw meat is because humans eat that in nature. He says veganism is human cruelty. This is the case of raw meat carnivore YouTuber 𝗟𝗡𝗡 and his 3 girlfriends. One that was attacked with acid and a homemade bomb. One that runs into an embassy with a shaved head, accusing him of placing glue into her private parts to make her infertile. And
so
another
hot.
one who is allegedly on the run with him from charges of attempted murder.
This is ridiculous. Oh my goodness. Let's get to it. Here we go.
Sponsors who have made it possible for Rod. That's more than trillions.
Oh, okay.
So let's get into it. Imagine 3.8 quintillion LED light bulbs.
What's quintillion?
That's more than trillions.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot of light bulbs, okay? Let me give you some more context. If you were to evenly place the light bulbs on Earth's surface, land, water, it doesn't matter, you somehow get all the light bulbs to fit. You would cover the Earth's surface completely with light bulbs, and then you would need to do it again approximately 44 times. Then you turn on these 44 Earth-sized Christmas lights, turn them all on, and then you stare directly into it. That is the practice of sun gazing, the practice of staring directly into the sun. To be fair, sun gazers don't stare directly into the sun when the UV index is high. They only sun gaze within the first hour after sunrise or before sunset. They state that the UV index is the lowest then. And they start by staring directly into the sun for only 10 seconds, at least initially. The maximum that they ever do is about 30 to 40 minutes per session. It's been stated that sun gazing is this very ancient practice, but there is a lot of argument that the receiving of sunlight is the practice, not necessarily staring directly into the sun.
I thought, like they're talking about in the morning, you're supposed to get a certain amount of sunlight, right?
Yes, you're supposed to get sunlight first thing in the morning. It's actually really good for you without any sunscreen, without eye protection when the sun is rising.
Dangerous.
But you're not supposed to stare directly into the sun.
Yeah, because that's like killing your eyesight. Right?
Yeah, so dangerous. I mean, I would at least advise not to stare directly into the sun, and likely every single doctor will as well. So there's a few types of sun gazers. There's ones that just get sun at critical points during the day. They do what the studies show. They go outside when the sun rises. They don't stare into the sun. They just try to absorb as much light as possible. Then you have the more traditional sun gazers. They will look directly into the sun, but during the safe zone hours. Then you have the extremist sun gazers, who want to stare directly into the sun for all hours of the day, including middle of the day when the UV index is the highest without a singular ounce of eye protection. We're talking about the extreme sun gazers today, because as I've mentioned before, sunlight is not bad for you, but this is extreme. The extreme sun gazers believe that sun gazing helps you download information from the sun. The sun is a giant server and we are processors and we're requesting data from the sun. I'm not kidding you.
Like what kind of data?
Knowledge.
Oh.
Yeah, knowledge can be absorbed through the sun. Not enlightenment, not dopamine, not serotonin. Knowledge, cold hard facts. You get them just downloaded into your brain.
By looking at it.
Yeah, the metadata just comes in.
Okay.
And some even take it a step further, stating that if you are a really good sun gazer, like a professional sun gazer, you don't even have to eat another meal of food in your entire life. It's this very fascinating belief that one will photosynthesize like a plant. People want to morph into solar panels, getting all their nutrients directly from the sun. 𝗟𝗡𝗡𝗞𝗦, the YouTuber, he's originally from Latvia, but he travels primarily through Europe, and he's an avid sun gazer. Okay, just to give you context. He's got long blonde hair. He ties it in a low ponytail in the back. And he's pretty fit. He's actually very muscular. He spends most of his time filming in the middle of the woods, like in the middle of a forest somehow, always shirtless, barefoot, just enjoying nature.
How old is he?
Now he's in his 30s.
Oh, he's young.
Yeah, but he's been a YouTuber since, very long time.
Okay.
Now, 𝗟𝗓 says he sun gazes all the time. He does it all day, every day, midday, it doesn't matter. Sometimes he will just lay there for the entire day, downloading information directly with his pupils and the sun, not closing his eyes, not wearing sunglasses, just raw dogging the sun. He says, when there's a cloud, I wait for the cloud to go away and I just sun gaze. I sun gaze all the time from sunrise to sunset.
That's because of the sun-powered brain, so to speak. That's what people call it.
He tries to explain the reason of sun gazing to his viewers. And he says, you listen and you unlock your mind, okay? We are liquefied sun. We all come from the same source. We wake up according to the sun's movement. When the sun is far away, we lay down as if we are dead. He's talking about sleeping. And when it's closer, we wake up because it literally pulls us up, and that's because we feel the sun's presence.
How many followers does he have?
He's had multiple channels. His most followed channel had like hundreds of thousands.
Wow.
Yeah. But his online digital footprint it took me so many days to get through of just brain rotting through his forums and everything. It was a lot. Just you wait. We're going to get into it all. And he tells everybody he used to wear glasses. He says, I used to wear glasses almost all my life. I started when I was around 4. I stopped when I was around 22. I simply stopped wearing my glasses and started doing contacts. But even contacts are annoying. It's unnatural. We're not supposed to do it. Stop with the unnatural glasses. We don't need glasses on our faces. If you see someone with glasses, they don't like it, it's because it looks like It's just how it works.
That's why kids who have glasses get bullied. It's unnatural. It's ugly. I was getting sick of it, so I simply stopped it and started sun gazing. Over the months, it helped me a lot.
I have seen a lot of sun gazers say it helps. I don't think it helps midday. You're going to burn holes in your retina, but I don't know. For months, 𝗟𝗓 is just trying to unlock the true power of sun gazing. And then he feels the weirdest thing. It's like a vibration inside of his chest. If you were to have your phone just vibrating on your chest, that's what it feels like. But it's under your skin somehow. It's like a humming right under his heart. He says that once that vibration hits, he starts realizing things. The sun is feeding him. He doesn't, in fact, need to eat. It feels better not to eat at all. He says, I went without food. Now, just a side note, 𝗟𝗓 is a vegan at this point. Yeah.
He was a vegan?
He was a vegan. And he continues, I felt completely fine, pretty much for a week, and a month went on with only water. Pretty much my consciousness was so different at that point. It was the clearest, purest moment of my life, just pure sun gazing all the time, downloading the nutrients into my prefrontal cortex. That's what he's saying.
And I wasn't able to eat anymore. It just felt better not to eat.
Then he wakes up one day, the sun is gone. It disappeared. It's nowhere to be found. It's just white fluorescent lights. He's in the freaking ICU. The doctors are staring at him. Welcome back. You almost died. You've been in intensive care for 9 days. Everything was prepared for the worst case scenario, that you would die. We told your sister that you would most likely die because you've been fasting for 30 days. He was drinking some lemon juice here and there, which I imagine to be the worst thing to drink on an empty stomach, like a 27-day empty stomach. He took some salt for electrolytes, but that's it. When he finally wakes up in that ICU, 𝗟𝗓 said that his visions were so clear. He was having these dream-like hallucinations, but they felt so rooted in reality. He says, I saw people sun gazing, visions of it, people sun gazing, and they just had these raw organs in their hands and eating them. And it's just really got stuck in my head. I was really starved and I started eating again in the hospital. I wanted flesh so bad. I actually wanted human flesh. And there's a reason for this. I was quite mad at these doctors there because they were giving me this carbohydrate, and there's a lot of stuff going wrong there. And that's why I actually just wanted to bite their flesh, the doctors and the nurses, and eat them. This is how 𝗟𝗓, the YouTuber, goes from being a vegan influencer to a raw meat carnivore influencer. This hospitalization of wanting to eat his doctors. Have you heard of high meat before? You take a piece of raw meat. I believe most encouraged is a giant chunk of raw cow liver. You stick it into one of those glass pickling jars and you just let it sit. You let it deliberately rot for about a year. Occasionally, every few days or so, people will have to open the lid to burp the rotting jar of meat, or else it'll just explode. You gotta let the gases come out. And then after about a year, sometimes 8 months of letting it decompose, you eat it.
What?
Raw meat carnivores say they want to get 2 things out of the meat. Supposed probiotic effects, I guess if you consider salmonella and E. coli probiotics, but also they say it helps them feel this sense of euphoria that you can't replicate anywhere else. You feel high. That's why it's called high meat. 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦, the ex-vegan, now raw carnivore, he claims he only eats raw meat, not cooked meat, but raw meat, just raw ground beef, raw eggs, raw pork, everything raw. He makes his own high meat, and in one video, he tries it for the first time ever. He says, "Hi guys, my high meat is 1 year old now, so I'm gonna eat it all at once." He pulls up this giant scoop. It looks like if you were to soak cardboard into water, and it's just broken down into this mashed, grainy, moldy goop. He sniffs it. It smells like acidic mushrooms. He takes a big bite of the bacteria goop. It looks like he's about to gag. Very strong.
Like eating chili.
Then you just see him sit there for a second, absorbing the high meat, having the E. coli run around his body like a playground. I can already feel it. It's definitely high. Meat, if you get what I'm saying. This becomes a regular thing. In another video, he's scooping up what can only be described as a giant brown slug covered in mud. It's about 2-3 fingers together in size. It's another round of high meat, probably beef liver, but it's still not as bad as the rotten brain. He holds up a jar of brains that he has left to decompose for a year. It looks like blueberry flavored yogurt, and on top is this mushy red substance. This is real brain from August 2019, so 8 months old. I made it in Berlin, Germany. I traveled with it, a dark red layer on top. It smells like a typical high meat, and then something else, which I've never smelt before. He takes a nibble.
You just become sort of high, but a natural high.
This is how 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦 infiltrates the raw meat carnivore world as an ex-vegan. Now, side note, I've eaten raw meat before. I think most of us have, like steak tartare. Even my steaks are sometimes like medium. A raw meat carnivore is not that. They eat raw meat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They will have a plate of ground beef with raw egg yolks on top, with a glass of unpasteurized milk, with a whole stick of butter, and a side of raw liver, and sometimes for shock value, bull testicles. Raw. Just waiting to burst in their mouths. At least that's what the raw meat carnivore influencers are doing. One thing about the raw meat community that I will say, other than the fact that you do you, that's between you, your stomach, and your doctor, and your bathroom. But some raw meat influencers, the way they do these what I eat in a day videos with their raw meat, I feel like they're doing it for the first time ever. The way that they eat the raw meat just looks so foreign. It doesn't feel like a natural daily activity. So I wonder if a lot of them are doing it for clicks.
Then why is there such a big community? Is it like a trend right now, or
I don't know if the community is big. I think that the influencers gain a lot of shock value attention. And I imagine that most people who do eat raw meat, there's not that many of them. Or at
Isn't
least
Liver King the person, or no?
Yeah, he's one of the most well-known raw meat carnivores. Although I have seen him eat cooked meat before, but he is very heavy on that primitive lifestyle. A lot of them want to replicate what our ancestors did. Eat raw meat before it's cooked. They think cooking takes out the nutrition. They think cooking makes it undigestible. So they eat raw organs, raw meat. They drink raw animal blood, raw unpasteurized milk. The Liver King doesn't even shower.
Really?
So he's very into that primitive lifestyle. He only soaps up his groin area. And he says he swims in lakes. He swims in rivers. He doesn't need to shower because our ancestors didn't shower. He'll eat like a fatty piece of steak and his hands are all greasy and he uses that as moisturizer and for his hair. Yeah, and people who have done podcasts with the Liver King say he is one of the sweetest but smelliest people that they've ever encountered in their entire lives. Just smells like a decomposing body. Okay. It's so fascinating that they have such primitive values, but they're all over social media, isn't it? It's kind of weird. And some raw meat carnivores claim that because their diet is so nutritious and is what our body craves, they don't even fart anymore. Gaddis claims he hasn't had a fart in years.
What a flex.
I haven't farted in over 5 years.
Oddly, really oddly, he states, for example, my friend Derek, I haven't farted in 5 years. My friend Derek has been eating meat, just raw meat, for 9 years. He hasn't had a fart in 9 years. Think about that. He's telling us to think about it. He also claims that he rarely drinks water. Now, there is a claim out there that these water companies are poisoning us, which, okay, valid. Nothing is impossible. I don't trust these big corporations either way. But they state that if you eat a lot of raw meat, there's so much water in the blood, in the food, that you don't actually need to drink water. And if you really are thirsty, the key is to drink blood, lots of blood. That is what Gaddis explains. This is his quote. If you would turn on your head for once in your life and think about why the government made blood illegal in most places, then you would maybe start realizing what's going on. The government banned drinking blood because it's so nutritious for you that the water and food companies would be all out of business. If you consume raw meat, your health problems would disappear, that you wouldn't ever need to go to the hospital, so healthcare would be out of business. To put it simply, Gaddis says, you are a Satanist if you cook food. Vegetarianism is what started veganism. So don't you ever, vegetarians, ever message me believing that I have any respect for you. Vegetarians are absolute scum. You're mentally ill if you don't eat raw meat. What excuse could you possibly have for not eating your natural diet? If you see blood, liver, and brains, and you don't find those foods appetizing, then you're mentally ill. If you find it disgusting, you have mental issues. If you find the smell of raw meat disgusting, then you are drugged up and you have a toxic body that doesn't let you recognize natural food. If the appearance of raw meat is disgusting, then you have been brainwashed by the media. It's the same as a tiger finding raw meat disgusting. It's the same. It's a severe mental illness. You've got to understand this. You are insane. Raw meat is the cure to everything. If you drink blood, eat raw meat and raw animal fat, then you will cure every disease ever known. He believes that if you are
so
vegan, which he
wrap
used to
your
be
head
vegan,
around.
you are a filthy,
You know,
malnourished,
raw
and
meat
mentally
in the
ill
blood.
person. And there is no way that you could
gotta have
ever
some truth
possibly
to it,
even
because
be pretty.
back in the day, before they came up with fire, what were we eating? They didn't have no fire, so think about what was we eating back then?
Vegan, which he used to be vegan, you are a filthy, malnourished, and mentally ill person. And there is no way that you can ever possibly even be pretty. He will say this with all this raw pig meat stuck in between his teeth.
What up? You're mentally ill if you don't eat raw meat, okay?
Side note, the first week after going full raw carnivore, Gaddis was hospitalized for a really long time again. And he explains in the video, this is a PSA if you slurp raw bone marrow out of its bone. He says he ate raw chicken bone marrow. For whatever reason, it gave him a bacteria. Took him a month to fully recover from. He couldn't even open the door. That's how weak he was from the food poisoning. He says, I actually talked to my trainer, and she said many people got completely paralyzed from it, and some people even died from it because the bacteria can go into the heart, and the heart is a muscle, and it makes the heart stop bleeding. You know, but it's all part of getting used to the bacterias and de-brainwashing yourself from modern day slavery. Because only raw meat people are beautiful. He says there will be no more good-looking humans left soon because we're all cooking our meat. Or God forbid, some of us are not even consuming meat. He says the humans of today are the very first ones in history that don't eat raw animal foods. That's why you're ugly. He thinks we're all ugly, but sometimes the call is coming from inside the house. But the resident just doesn't have all the lights on upstairs, so the call is missed. His favorite types of videos are critiquing vegan influencers. He has a channel called Gaddis. I don't know if he's referring to greatest of all time or the actual animal goat. But the titles are always something along the lines of, 2 anti-human vegans make fun of a malnourished kid. What a walking tumor eats in a day to die prematurely. Vegan parents and vegan children starving my child against their will. Sick vegan parents don't let their children eat what they need. Malnourished vegan teen believes that he's a model. Vegan girl smells because of her toxic diet, and he's just reacting to random nice vegans that do like what I eat in a day, minding their own business on the internet. But it is very clear that the true reason that he passionately despises vegans is because when he was a vegan, he shat himself. In a video, he's hiking and explaining.
2 days before New Year's, I shit myself for the first time in my adult life. Because when you eat plants, because they are indigestible, you get a lot of pressure.
So for a moment, I thought maybe Gattis is just like a master rage baiter. He says unhinged stuff in videos to get clicks. But one person who states they met Gattis in person, they say, one day we went to central Berlin. We were walking around the mall, and the mall had a butcher shop that Gattis was apparently a frequent customer of. And on the same level of the butcher shop was this Chinese restaurant. The restaurant was located in the middle of the floor next to other shops, and it was shaped as like a circle. So it was more of a fast food joint to eat at, if you will. Both me and the other guy we were with were hungry, so we decided to eat some food at the Chinese restaurant. Meanwhile, Gattis, being an absolute narcissist, he bought this huge cow tongue from the butcher shop and started walking around everywhere, the whole entire floor, eating it raw in front of people's faces. He then walked into a more fancy restaurant and just stood at the entrance staring at people while chowing down on the tongue and spitting pieces of it onto the floor. None of this was filmed. So it's not even just for videos he's doing this.
Yeah, so like he's just like a crazy dude who just want to get some crazy attentions and...
Yeah. And it's just bold coming from someone who wants to commit incest.
What?
I've talked about cannibalism before and how nobody wants to talk about it. But when it comes to incest, nobody wants to even think about it.
So he posts these like crazy comments on each YouTube videos. He makes these videos and talking about it.
His new YouTube channel does not have any of them. His past one called Severage it got suspended by YouTube. And he's actually not supposed to have another YouTube channel because that's the YouTube policy. Once your channel gets suspended, you can't make another one. But he does, and it's called 𝗗𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦.
Okay.
So I don't know if you feel inclined to report it, I guess. But as a carnivore, he says, it's best to consume what is closest to you for regeneration. And if you switch off what you have learned for a second, you may come to the same conclusion about sex. He's saying as a carnivore, eating raw meat that is closest to you is healthiest for you. So having intimate relations with someone closest to you should be the best for you. He says the word incest comes from chastity, so it's purely a religious concept. If you have intimate relations with your children, or your brother has intimate relations with your sister, then it's wrong? You know, when I used to watch intimate videos back in the day, there used to be a lot of videos of mom and son, daughter, father, brother, sister, and later on they changed that, probably because of legal issues. Afterwards, they kept saying stepmom, stepbrother. I guess they were not allowed to call the videos like that anymore, but the reason they always did it is because that's what people are longing for, but they're not allowed to. It's a taboo topic anyway, and actually you're not legally allowed to in most countries on earth, but in the so-called ancient times, it was normal for the mother to show the son how to have intimate relations. This is why the sons quite often choose a girlfriend that looked like their mother, and the daughters choose a boyfriend like their father. And of course, we can produce children with our sisters and brothers. You know the word monogamy? Monogamy is you having intimate relations with your family. Monogamy is not you only having intimate relations with your wife in marriage, which is a societal construct that doesn't even exist. Marriage is in your head, not in nature. You simply family. And there's no jealousy. Why would you be jealous of yourself, your child, your brother, your sister, which we can assume is only 50% the woman and 50% the man? You're creating a different version of yourself, and then you have intimate relations with yourself.
So, do you think he's being serious about this?
Yeah, unfortunately. I wish I could say I thought he was rage baiting, but I do think he was relatively serious. There are orgies, so-called ones, just like any wild animal would do with their own family. And there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Everything that the elite does is right and natural. And we see it as wrong and evil and so on because we are the ones that are wrong. We see everything that's right as wrong.
And they
You may come
right.
to the same
We
conclusions
are the
about
only
intimate
animals
relations.
that
We
look
get
at
told
stuff
about all
like
these
this.
genetic disorders and birth
Any other
defects.
animal,
There's a lot
they
of
screw us, whatever they want. Group screw and all that type of stuff. Yeah, hey, even the food, they eat raw food. Dogs, cats, whatever they eat whatever they can put in their mouth. So supposedly it might be, hey, I'm just saying, why don't you just look at it for a second? I ain't saying believe it. I'm not telling you to believe it. I'm saying look at it for a second. Might be some facts to it.
we see everything that's right as wrong. You may come to the same conclusions about intimate relations. We get told about all these genetic disorders and birth defects. There's a lot of claims, but no proof. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wouldn't these problems logically come from people that is further away from you? He's saying if you have children with someone further away from you. There's actually this guy who's on trial for being a cult leader. He said that he had intimate relations in front of his children, and he actually let his son grab his private parts, and he would talk about it like it's all natural. And it is actually natural. You would always have intimate relations in front of your children because there's nothing special about it. Intimate relations in nature is just nothing. It's like eating or as I said. They drilled inside of your head, everybody in your life, the media, your parents, the school system, told you that it's wrong. You have been re-educated, and that's why you cannot actually explain why it's wrong when you hear about something such as having intimate relations around children or your children, whatever, your family. It feels wrong, but does it actually? No, it is simply inside of your head. As I said, if you were to play tennis with a girl who's under the age of consent, not that there is such a thing in nature, it's a societal construct. In some countries it's 17, in others it's 13, whatever people make up. If you play tennis with her, it's okay.
Laws.
Or him, also, if you're a woman. But if you have intimate relations with them, it's wrong?
Wow.
Yeah, Gaddis, it is. That's exactly what we're saying. He puts his index finger to point at his head, like, duh. Why is nobody else using their brains? I will say, though, the way this walking brain tumor just starts his videos to some extent is comical. He's just in the middle of the forest wearing a bright red hoodie with a bright red headband on. And he just starts, what's up, what's up? You may not understand this because you grew up as a slave, but the police are Satanists whose job is to enslave you, protect the elite, and punish natural humans. 2 seconds into the video, we don't even get an introduction. We don't even get like an ad break or anything. Nothing. Just what's up, what's up?
What up?
So let's go through Gaddis's most interesting takes on life so we can all be enlightened. He states that the purpose of reading newspapers, books, reading anything other than maybe his Substack is to ruin your brain. He says it's a man-made language with man-made letters. We're not supposed to read in nature. That's why people don't like to read. People always ask me about my favorite books. I don't have any because reading is unnatural. It's not something you're supposed to like. It's as simple as that. That's also how you ruin your eyesight because you're always looking at these tiny little letters up close. Why are the letters so small? It's supposed to ruin your eyesight. That's the purpose. The better way to receive information through the cosmos, through sun gazing. And that's the other thing. Our intelligence increases. And that's because we are sun powered. We have sun powered brains, so to speak. That's what people call it. I've received information and my understanding of the world from the sun, from the cosmos. Haven't come from any books. I haven't heard it from people. It just comes as you're sun gazing.
Wow. Okay.
Download complete. Sunglasses are also a deception, made to look cool like cigarettes. Maybe that's why I'm obsessed with sunsets, but I haven't seen a sunrise in ages because I wake up much later. The sun really is much easier to look at when it sets. If I didn't live in a system, I can imagine I would have done it just like without anyone telling me. Like, why do we all believe sunsets and sunrises are beautiful? It seems like nowadays people associate the sun with the wrong things.
That also reminds me how I used to sunbathe nude in this one spot, and people didn't like it because they said kids also come here. As if kids would mind nudity. Kids are the last ones who will mind it.
He's just saying gibberish at this point,
Yes.
right? Just like whatever comes into his mind, he's just...
So he wants us to be in the sun staring directly, burning our retinas, holes into our retinas, into the sun on a daily basis, but also being outside is dangerous. He says, Berlin is where I live. Seems to be a big, big target. Once it got dark last year, two planes with identical lights appeared and were flying around. I assume that they were spraying something, because in the dark you can hardly see anything. It just looked suspicious. The belief being that planes are spraying aluminum into the air to poison humans and nature. He also wears pants that read 9/11, no planes hit the World Trade Centers. There's this conspiracy out there that the towers were never hit by planes, that they were brought down by a controlled demolition using explosives.
It's built, it's structured to withstand, this is facts, to withstand if an airplane hit it, it won't fall. But it came down demolition style in its own footprint. Yeah, I did a lot of research on that, man, and that, dude, trust me when I tell you this, please trust me. The way those buildings was built, if a plane hit it, that building would 100% still stand. Probably 200% stand. That's facts. Research it on your own. But nah, you're gonna believe what the news done told you.
No planes hit the World Trade Centers. There's this conspiracy out there that the towers were never hit by planes, that they were brought down by a controlled demolition using explosives. So there's that. And the earth is flat.
I live on Earth, a flat Earth.
Additionally, quote, saunas are voluntary self-exit for super depressed people.
What?
He thinks saunas are really bad for you.
So he's like, whatever conspiracy he comes across, he's like, oh yeah.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yes, and somehow, yet, okay, none of these beliefs even come close to his views on cannibalism. There's a video of 𝗟𝗡𝗡 standing in front of the camera and holding up a vial of blood. It looks like the kind of blood that you would get drawn at the doctor's office during your annuals. It's blood, but it's not from an animal. It's from a subscriber of 𝗟𝗡𝗡's. Human blood. 𝗟𝗡𝗡 says, the elixir of life. And he opens it up and gulps it down, smiling. There's blood all over his teeth, like he's auditioning for a vampire extra in the new Twilight spinoff. He's smiling, saying, thank you, man, to the subscriber who sent him the blood.
Thank you, man. It's like having sex with you, just better. I have you in me.
I would like more of this. It's so good. I get it now. This is the epiphany of my life.
This is why they do it. Imagine like baby blood.
He starts rubbing his beard and his voice gets very pensive and just far too creepy. He said before, human blood is the highest form, especially virgin blood. Also the menstrual blood. If women would drink it, or men, as they used to, they wouldn't get all that gray hair and all that other stuff. We should all be drinking blood. And before you get so offended, like I am, because we're not enlightened, he says, I've mentioned in a few times in videos about eating other humans, but sort of as a joke, even though it wasn't. But that's because I realized that people aren't open about talking about it. Before you get all closed-minded about it, just look into all the tribes. Look into people dying and then other people eating them as, I forget the word, as a sign of respect, let's just say that, to the one that died. Also, nourishment from the body and thanking the body. I mean, it all just really makes sense. It's trying to click. Look at this from your soul's perspective and not just what we have been taught and brainwashed. This is very well documented.
Eating and
not a lot of people
blood
talk about
and all this
eating
bull.
other animals raw.
No. You can try it, but I ain't gonna try it. I'm down with this figuring out how weird this guy is. That's all I'm doing, is looking at the weirdness of this guy. I ain't trying to eat nobody. And I don't even think you should feed a chicken fried chicken. Think about that. Because we got chickens running around here in the Philippines, man. And I'm like throwing the bones, making sure the dogs eat the chicken bones, not the chicken. Yeah, you can't do that. That's not balling.
Eating humans, if you compare it, there's hardly any difference. I mean, psychologically, yes, I do understand it could be hard getting over it. Point being, it's a mindset. But if you eat babies or a young human heart, of course it's going to regenerate rapidly And of course, it's the best food for the human, for your own heart. The proof that Gaddis has for all these arguments is the Illuminati. He teaches his followers, the Illuminati are happy people because they're R-wording babies and children and eating them. They have built a perfect system for themselves where they can have human hunting parties, and torture dungeons, and babies for breakfast. All the research I've done since I've gotten out of the hospital completely tells me that the Illuminati's diet consists of baby and children organs. You know, how to live long, how to live healthy, the secrets of humanity and of this planet and everything. Of course, the Illuminati understands. If you look into organ harvesting of children and reports of thousands of refugee children just disappearing, if the Illuminati members have a problem with their heart, which they probably wouldn't because they eat so well, except when they're over like 100 something or, you know, they would, of course, still then start eating the organs of the children because no animal is going to compare to another human's organs. So what do you think is going to happen to your cells and the regeneration if you eat a baby or a young human's heart? It's going to regenerate rapidly. They want you to eat plants while they eat children. Just wake up. You are all slaves. Everyone is being conditioned except Gaddis because he gets his information from the cosmos. He goes on to state, you know, Marvel, the movie, is a prime example of slavery conditioning. You know, the superheroes? Mm-hmm. Think about how the so-called good and bad guys are portrayed in the movies. The so-called villains want to have total control and kill anybody that's in their way. That's the definition of human nature and exactly what the enlightened ones do. That's what we should be doing. The so-called heroes, they want to protect society and keep us enslaved. Kill or imprison anybody who wants to try to disrupt the control system. That's what the heroes are doing. My biggest question is, how does this guy end up with children from at least 2 separate relationships and is almost always perpetually in a relationship? 'Cause I'm confused. Maybe he has super enlightened views on women? He says in a video, I see a lot of videos for women on YouTube on how to get a so-called hourglass figure. They will tell you to work out, do plastic surgery, go on unnatural diets, and so on. All of this is there's only one solution to all your problems: pregnancy.
The reason you look the way you look is because you did not get pregnant right after you started menstruating.
Your menstruation is literally your body, nature, God, if you're religious, telling you to have children now. Every woman on earth that did not get pregnant when she was supposed to now looks different than she should. Not doing that is exactly the same as not eating meat and fat when you are hungry, and you will naturally be punished for it. You are punished with your ugly looks, which means that most women in Europe and North America don't look the way they're supposed to. Do you understand how big of a deal that is? You've probably been told all of your life that childbirth is very painful. It actually isn't. But it is for most women in the West, and that's because they give birth almost 15 years too late. You have to understand from nature's perspective, you are seen as a loser, and that's why you get punished with pain. This is why you have to give birth while you are young and flexible. Your hips will widen very easily when giving birth. You won't have stretch marks. Your breasts will be much bigger. Back in the day, we did not document our birthdays as we do now. Most people don't know how old they are because naturally it's relevant. On the day a girl gets her first period is usually when she loses her virginity and gets impregnated. Nobody cared about her exact age because it didn't matter up until today. I will give you some examples. In Spain 20 years ago, the age of consent was 12, and it was changed to 16 some years ago. In Italy and Germany, it was also 12. In Italy, it's 14 now, which, side note, anybody who knows the actual age of consent in all these countries, I am so terrified of you. Why do you know this?
That is crazy, yeah.
I don't even know the age of consent in...
Wait a minute.
The age of consent was 12, and it was changed to 16 some years ago. In Italy and Germany, it was also 12. In Italy, it's 14 now, which, side note, anybody who knows the actual age of consent in all these countries, I am so terrified of you.
Yeah.
Why do you know this?
That is crazy, yeah.
I don't even know the age of consent in like the country I live in.
Yeah, or even talking about it like it's some sort of a proof of something. Like,
yeah, it's just legally a differentiating, but usually it's you're of age or not.
Yeah, why does that even matter to you as an adult to bring up this fact?
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And he says not much has changed there. In Canada, up until 2008, it was 14. You know, artificial marriages with contracts usually happen between the ages of 9 and 12 all around the world. A bit over 100 years ago, the age of consent in the US was 7 to 12, depending on the state. In 1920, after World War I, it was changed to 16 and 18. Nowadays, we have mind control programs such as To Catch a Predator with Chris Hansen. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. Men get caught, quote unquote, caught, for wanting to sleep with 15-year-old girls. Yet in Europe, the age of consent is 14 to 15 in most countries. And that's simply because even the government here understands that no matter how old you are as a guy, you would have to be severely mentally ill to not find a 15-year-old girl attractive.
15 is, I mean,
That is crazy.
okay, if you put it to you like this, if you find somebody attractive, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18, and God damn, that little girl look cute. I like her outfit. She looked like a little beautiful little model, but she's not sexually for me because it's against the law. I ain't touching her. I'm allergic to jail. I don't want nobody to be saying negative things about me. And plus, I got a boo-boo that I'm in love with that is my age. I like her my age. I don't want no girl that can't even clean themselves too well. Oh my God. So facts, man. They got some facts going on with this thing right here. True in a lot of cases, but that's
understands that no matter how old you are as a guy, you would have to be severely mentally ill to not find a 15-year-old girl attractive.
Saying somebody is cute. Like,
That is crazy.
There's a little girl
This is what the New World Order is about.
Pretty as all get up. She is beautiful. She is drop dead gorgeous. But she's 16. So if nobody was looking, that means I want to do something to her? Nah, not Uncle Mike. No, you're just pretty. That's all that I want you to have a pretty life. I want you to be happy and be positive. I don't want to do the boom booms with you. That's I couldn't even live with myself. I don't understand what else to say. I don't know what to say. It's not right. It feels not right.
I assume the age of consent is going to move to 18, 20 in the New World Order, if there even will be. Essentially, there won't be such a thing as a family anymore. This is all part of the depopulation agenda. If you believe that you are being oppressed as a woman, when in reality, liberation is the oppression. In another video, because for some reason, a camera and a microphone and internet service is way too accessible for everyone, probably including myself, he says, I got an email from a girl in her 20s who was offended by my video that was called equals marriage. She tried to justify herself to me. She had this failed relationship and she tried to explain to me that she is now more experienced in intimate relations, as in something good came out of this relationship, even though they're no longer together. This made me actually think, there are women out there who believe that they can get better at intimate relations. Listen carefully. All women must understand this. What do you think is the most unattractive, off-putting thing you can say to a guy? Any idea? That you are good at intimate relations. To us, this only means one thing. You are us and you are worthless. That's actually two things, you idiot. But could you theoretically learn how to please a guy better by giving and having more experience? Possibly a tiny bit. But intimate relations is not complicated. It comes naturally. Even if you could, every man on earth would choose someone who is inexperienced, ideally a virgin, over you.
That's
Once
true.
you lose your virginity, your value goes down to here. Even if you learn everything there is to learn about intimate relations, your value would only go up a tiny little bit. Whereas someone who is innocent and pure will always be at the top because that is what is actually attractive to a male human being. It doesn't matter what the learn because you will always be at the bottom and not desirable. This is what I said. As a girl, you have to be very careful who you choose as your partner because it has to be somebody for life. Once a girl is damaged, she starts dressing like a... Sure, you may attract some loser who watches a lot of videos online, but a healthy man is not going to come and choose you. This is one of the ways they destroy families nowadays.
Wow,
they brainwash
that's
young
crazy.
men and women to gather a lot of intimate experience. And
loyal
later,
to
when they
each
decide to have
other.
a
That's
family,
crazy,
they're so damaged
man.
it's impossible for them to even be loyal to each other.
Here we go, y'all. Here we go. 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 Hey.
Believe that Gattis hates Andrew
Trying not to
Tate.
get this.
Really?
All right, here we go. Here we go now.
Can you believe that Gattis hates Andrew Tate?
Really?
I was so shocked.
That is so interesting.
I think it's because Andrew Tate is financially more successful at being the human equivalent of dog shoe. Okay? He's winning the competition. At least he's a somewhat wealthy dog shoe. Because one would easily imagine that the two of them would be best friends, just eating each other's raw meat, circle jerking about how great they are. But no. Gattis states Andrew Tate is a loser for going after money. Because it's a man-made system.
You know what I feel like? He has so many takes of these really dumb, bizarre ideas or theories or whatever it is. It's almost like everything he has to take like the opposite take.
Extreme, too.
Yeah, extreme opposite take that triggers the most amount of people. You know what I mean? Whatever triggers the most amount of people, he's gonna say it.
He's just different.
Yeah.
He's not like the other boys.
So that makes me think that he's just want to get these reactions out of people.
Attention.
Like eating a raw animal on the street. Like what do you get out of it? Reaction. He's getting, he wants to see people getting all, like get all riled up. So ideas, his actions, everything he does is rooted from that almost. Like I kind of find it almost hard to believe that he can believe in every single thing that he says so far. Like he's obsessed with every single one of these conspiracies or ideas or like crazy bizarre theories. Like where do you even come up with all of these?
But that's an interesting question. Please leave it in the comments. What kind of personality does that? Because I don't like attention outside, especially when it's negative.
Right.
If people are staring at me like I have a booger on my nose, I'm getting very self-conscious. But there are, like you said, people that are, they love it. They love eliciting that type of...
Or just to them, like attention is attention. Like they want some kind of attention. I don't know.
So bizarre.
So bizarre.
He says, Andrew Tate, there is no higher form of a loser. That's a loser. He tells people to escape the matrix, but he doesn't realize that he's completely stuck in the matrix himself. He looks very ugly. He has a deformed face and he is below average in looks, which is why, of course, he wants to compensate and get a lot of money and cars and a big house and so on. All I have to say is the girls are fighting, okay? He also has it out for Charlie. Side note, one of the biggest creators on YouTube, also known as Penguin0. Yeah, he says Charlie is the most depressed and disgusting YouTuber. Charlie was commenting on another raw meat carnivore creator talking about high meat and stating it's just rotted, poisonous meat, which it appears to be on all accounts.
How is this high meat thing a thing when, you know, this sounds like you can really go to ICUs immediately for.
Like you could die.
Yeah, so how is that? They keep doing that.
They just keep doing it. They don't care. I even thought about it. I had this whole minute where I was sitting there like, what if they were faking it? What if they were putting cardboard into water? Because it doesn't make sense how they're alive.
Right. It sounds extremely crazy.
Yeah. Gattis reacts to Charlie saying, what is poisonous about it? Poison would imply toxins. How is it toxic? Do you have any proof, any arguments, just anything at all? Or do you just call it something because you're ignorant? He states Charlie has a video gamer brain or lack thereof, aka Charlie has no brain. And this guy, Gattis, is just marinating in these wild thoughts. Now, keep in mind, same guy that says Charlie has no brain. In a separate video, he states pedophilia
is great.
Basically, supposedly coming from ancient Greek and meaning love for children, which I feel is already not the best way to define that word.
At this point, I feel like I can guess everything that he is going to say. Just say the opposite of what Mass is thinking.
Yes, and then also just go on like 2 Reddit threads of some vile people. It's nothing too creative. He's just so passionate.
It becomes attractive when you enter puberty by nature because of the looks and the smells. It's when you are ready in a sense, and when you look at a body of a 10-year-old Because of this early puberty, even somebody who is 80 may find somebody at this age attractive.
This is called a police level of alarming, but it gets increasingly worse. He says that something being negative or doing something negative is a societal construct, that something can't actually truly be negative. He says, who deems what is negative? Humans. Humans. Okay? He goes in to further dig himself into this brainless swamp by stating that if someone were to essay his girlfriend, he would not deem that as a negative because that's a societal construct. This is the same guy that thinks women with too many intimate partners is negative, which is a societal construct. He also just has some very random takes, such as, it is not uncommon for women to grow beards. They just have been conditioned by those in power to shave them, which, you know what, could be valid, which fine, but random. And it leads people to the question, who on earth can find this man attractive? To his defense, this is not me making a defense, this is his own defense. He says the reason his YouTube channels are not as popular as everybody else's on the platforms, the reason he's not winning any awards for his content is simply because 98% of people are R-words. What does that mean? When you create, what you create appeals to 98% of people, it means you are an R-word. One of his ex-girlfriends said, I will say I was blinded at the time. I liked the aesthetic of his videos. There were a lot of other videos where he just talks about meat and diet and health and how the government is not really on our side. Those messages were somewhat positive. He was telling us to take control of our lives. You know, he had a lot of charisma.
Yes.
He appealed to people who were longing for a life without worrying about working all the time. For example, he traveled around the world and he talked about how happy he was. It's like, I was hypnotized. We, his fans, just ignored all these alarming messages and focused on the good parts of his channel. Diane, his girlfriend, was one of those people. She saw the good in 𝗟𝗓𝗓. One of the most sinister videos 𝗟𝗓𝗓 goes on to upload. At the time, it's not sinister. Just wait.
When was this?
This was in like 2014. Oh, 2018. Sorry.
2018.
𝗟𝗓𝗓 is sitting next to his girlfriend,
Wow.
Diane. They're both sitting on the floor. 𝗟𝗓𝗓 looks like he always does, you know, good or bad, take it as you will. And Diane looks like she's just been through it. This is not how she normally appears on the channel. Diane is she's from the Netherlands. She's this sweet, put together girl that she's a little bit softer. People always wondered, what does she see in 𝗟𝗓𝗓? But now she's sitting there. She looks like she's been through it. Her hair is messy. It almost looks chopped in some places. It looks like someone just took a snippet of her hair and started cutting it in random places. She's got a black eye. Her face is incredibly bruised and swollen. And when she opens her mouth, all of her teeth are chipped. Her eyes are zoned out, almost like she's in some sort of daze. 𝗟𝗓𝗓 does most of the talking throughout the video, where he alleges that he and Diane were walking through the forest in Germany and Diane was targeted. She was briefly alone and she was targeted.
My girlfriend Luna, she was mugged yesterday. I wouldn't even make a video about it, but her teeth are all chipped in at the top and the bottom because of the kick in the face. We tried all kinds of raw food for healing, even raw eggs. They're pretty much liquid, but she can't eat them because it hurts so much. So now we gotta get a fucking straw and somehow try to feed her some nutrition so she heals in some way. It's just all fucked up. Everything here is swollen. The nose is swollen. She already had problems with the nose. She had surgeries. So we don't know what's going to happen with that now. What did the doctor say at the hospital?
He turns to Diane and her voice is weak.
Oh, that I might have to stay 48 hours because there could be an internal bleeding.
Because you could die.
Diane nods and 𝗟𝗓𝗓 starts ranting. You couldn't even remember your phone number and age. It's just all so you definitely got to go to a dentist now because she can't eat anything. And you know how expensive dentists are in Europe? And with the nose also. I appreciate all the support I get on Patreon. With that money pretty much pays for my food. That's about it. We both don't have a decent income to pay for any of this. So if anybody could support us in any way, even $5 to $10 on my PayPal, for example, that would really help us. He says that Diane was attacked by quote unquote immigrants. He gets about $5,000 in donations, and the two fly out to Ukraine for the surgeries, which costs exponentially less than $5,000. Diane said when she first saw 𝗟𝗓𝗓's videos online, she was really impressed by him because he seemed like he cared. She had a lot of health problems that the doctors couldn't pinpoint. Nobody could figure it out. She had to quit school because of it. And he just seemed like a very patient, kind, confident person. But now she's in the Airbnb in Ukraine. She's got surgery tomorrow to fix the damage to her nose. And here is 𝗟𝗓𝗡 live streaming.
What is it? Yeah, no, I said a few minutes. Why do you speak in between? I said I'm doing less than 2 hours, which it is.
She's clearly agitated because, come on, time and place, and she keeps telling him to get off the live stream. I mean, as a boyfriend, you would expect he would want to comfort her. In the live stream, he angrily tells her, shut the f up. I'm doing under 2 hours. What the f not understand? No, it hasn't been 2 hours. It's 1 hour and 59 minutes. Shut the f up. I said I'm doing under 2 hours.
Shut the f up. I said I'm doing under 2 hours. What do you not understand?
What? So she's just asking him, hey, can you get off now?
Yes.
And he's just screaming at her.
Yes, and he's
thing that tripped
laughing
me out is
and
I met another
screaming. And even in
YouTuber
that live stream, someone asks him, do you
did
have any
negative
respect for
things
your
to his
girlfriend? He responds, I don't have respect for anyone.
trying to
It's
get
not
more
natural.
views and subscribers and stuff. And you have to, YouTube is a constant work of being positive toward people and help lift people up. If you lift people up, they will hit that subscribe button. So right now, people right now should be going to hit the subscribe button if Uncle Mike is lifting you up. Love the content, love what they're talking about. I don't agree with everything that everybody talks about, but I'm just listening and observing, and I'm hoping that you all are listening along with me. Facts, facts. Let's continue. Don't abuse your loved ones for views. Don't do that.
And he's laughing and screaming. And even in that live stream, someone asks him, do you have any respect for your girlfriend? He responds, I don't have respect for anyone. It's not natural.
Whoa.
After he prolongs the live stream even more, he starts pointing the camera to her to record her. She retreats into the hallway of the Airbnb to get away from him. He gets up, picks up his computer, and tries to follow her to show her on the live stream. She grabs a knife and lunges at him in the hallway to show him how serious she is, but he just tells the chat how insane she is. And maybe she is. Yeah, 𝗟𝗓𝗡 is in the wrong. I don't think he's a good person, but is it really worth lunging at him with a knife? Or is there another reason that she would lunge at him with a knife? Years later, Diane would come out with the truth. She was never attacked by some shadowy immigrants in the forest. She says she went into the forest to help him record a video, and all she remembers in the midst of filming, she was tying her shoelaces, and then nothing, she blacked out. She wakes up, she's in the middle of the forest, confused, what the hell is going on? She says, I woke up incredibly confused. I couldn't even remember my own phone number, and that's really unlike me. It was really weird to me. I didn't know what happened. All I knew was, I gotta get out of there. I gotta go to where 𝗟𝗓𝗡 is because something happened to me. He's gone, by the way. She calls the ambulance. This is in Germany. She hardly knows any German. She says they're trying to tell her to explain what happened. She's confused. She's severely concussed. She can't speak the language. And she just didn't understand until it clicked a little bit later. She had said something in the forest. He misheard her and believed that she was making fun of his small private part.
I'm letting y'all know. Use what God gave you, period. If your stuff is small, then so be it. Uncle Mike's stuff ain't small, trust me on that. But at the same time, there's a lot of problems, or not problem, there's a lot of things that I wish I had better stuff in. But hey, I'm using what God gave me, man. God gave me bad eyesight. That's why I got these glasses on. So just use what God gave you, man.
It clicked a little bit later. She had said something in the forest. He misheard her and believed that she was making fun of his small private part, which she did not. And even if she did, but he just walks up to her while she's tying her shoes and kicks her so hard in the face.
And said it was basically the first attempted murder.
But some of 𝗟𝗓𝗡's fans to this day don't believe Diane. They think Diane is making all of this up. I highly doubt it, because 𝗟𝗓𝗡 himself has said in a video, the only way to be happy is to make others unhappy. Realize you've been living your whole life religiously, following morals, ethics, which were created by religions. One of the most important lessons in life is to not treat others the way you want to be treated. There are no morals in nature. They were created by religions. This means that your life is based on man-made beliefs. Life is all about consuming others' energy for your own good, because that is literally the only way to be happy. Even saying violence is not the answer is such a deception. It is typical, unnatural behavior, because in nature, if you want something solved, you go and you do it. You remove the problem. That is our instinct. On top of that, just the way he starts dating Diane, I feel like should tell us enough about him. When 𝗟𝗓𝗡 and Diane start dating, initially he posts this video where he doesn't even introduce Diane. He just says, "What's up, everybody? I'm gonna make a completely raw video, no editing, and just tell you what is going on."
A lot of you asked me over the last years, months, where I get money and how I afford the raw meat and everything. And the thing is that I had a girlfriend who I split up with now, whose parents are millionaires, and they gave me 500 euros at least every month. Pretty much can't afford this diet anymore because I don't get the money anymore, because I met somebody else and I chose her over everything else.
But he's saying his ex-girlfriend's parents used to send him money for, I guess, dating their daughter. But now that he left her for Diane, he needs money for this expensive raw meat diet, because he can't just eat Ralph's ground beef. He's got to eat regenerative, grass-fed ground beef because he's eating it raw. One person who claimed they met with his ex-girlfriend at a meetup once said, "I'm telling you, this guy is a walking red flag." It's not even just with Diane. Just his relationship with his last girlfriend, where he was getting money from her parents, was weird. The netizen says, "Back a few years ago, 𝗟𝗓𝗡 stayed with my ex and I while he was traveling through the United States. At the time, he was with his previous girlfriend, so the one before Diane, who was at least in her 40s, late 40s, possibly even 50s, and mentally ill to some degree. She called me a for no reason and even kicked me at one point. The entire encounter was just uncomfortable. She spoke poor English and spoke a lot of German, and at one point she was telling my dad about when they knocked down the Berlin Wall. The entire dynamic between the two was so weird. She would call him Mr. 𝗟𝗓𝗡 even though they're in a relationship. She would ask his permission for things. He was always distant and cold to her, and at one point my ex and his friend, as well as 𝗟𝗓𝗡, went into the Whole Foods, and I was staying in the car with the girlfriend. She proceeded to explain to me that she had a black eye because Mr. 𝗟𝗓𝗡 got angry, hit her, and made her buy expensive makeup to cover it up. She also explained how her family had given them $6,000 to fund their travel to the United States, and both of them explained here and there during their trip that her parents were very wealthy, and that he had agreed to marry her because her parents were going to buy them a house in the Canary Islands in exchange for him taking care of their daughter. She also spoke about how 𝗟𝗓𝗡 would regularly video chat with other women while they were together, and I don't know, just all of it was just awful. Another netizen who met them agrees. She acted like a 12-year-old around us and had a hard time concentrating on practically anything. She would just wander off into her own world. It was an ideal choice for 𝗟𝗓𝗡 to abuse. Additionally, someone else who claims that they met up with the ex, they say, "I was alone in 𝗟𝗓𝗡's apartment with his girlfriend briefly. That's when I was horrified. She tried to tell me in her best English mixed with some German that she knew that 𝗟𝗓𝗡 was having intimate relations with other girls and that he had threatened her and hit her and threatened her that he would leave her and hurt her if she told anybody. She said he told her that he owns her and that she must call him Mr. 𝗟𝗓𝗡. She showed me bruises all over her chest and on her shoulders, but she didn't want to tell her parents because she didn't want to lose Mr. 𝗟𝗓𝗡. In her mind, he was her doctor and her caretaker. He also put her on the raw meat and ketogenic diet by force to make her lose weight and stay healthy. It is likely that Diane didn't see that side of 𝗟𝗓𝗡 until the forest kicking incident. And like most toxic relationships, I wouldn't be surprised if he convinced her that it was just a one-time thing. Because soon afterwards, she gets pregnant with their son. And they're making their rounds. She's pregnant and he decides, I gotta get more clicks. I gotta get more views on YouTube. So what am I gonna do? I am going to travel through Europe, go through all the vegan festivals, go to all the vegan food markets, on a tour, if you will, eating raw pig heads and squirrels in front of all the vegans. It's actually when he's in London eating that squirrel in front of the Soho vegan market. He gets arrested, taken into this psychiatric facility because the police thought, I mean, there's no way that you can be right in the head and normal in the head upstairs if you're doing this. And once he gets released, this makes a ton of international news. Have you heard of the guy that was eating the raw squirrel?
Wait, he was taken in?
Yeah, he was arrested and taken into a psychiatric facility for a few days.
Wow.
Because the police were like, this is not normal behavior. You don't do this if everything's working up here. He gets released. It's all over the news internationally. And he grew up in Latvia. That's where Gattis is from. And everyone in Latvia is like,
What?
You know that guy that was in London eating the squirrel? Isn't he the same guy that stabbed his classmates? About 15 years ago, when Gattis was 16 years old, he's a high school student in Latvia. Allegedly, the story is he brought a knife to school and stabbed 4 of his classmates. The report reads, attacked classmates with a knife. A 10th grade student at Ventspils First High School mentally lost his control and slashed out with a knife at 4 of his classmates. The headmistress states, he was late for school and he just came in with 2 knives and stabbed and injured 2 boys and a girl inside the classroom, and then a 3rd boy was attacked as he ran for safety. All 4 victims were taken to the hospital. They were discharged the same day with light injuries. It was just a very weird incident. Gattis allegedly goes home after this stabbing, and he is arrested inside of his house in front of his computer, just browsing on the internet with 2 large knives sitting next to him on the desk. The criminal police chief said that the attack was probably induced because of past humiliation and bullying that Gattis likely received.
Wow, that's crazy.
Other sources state that the attacker was obsessed with a movie. Now, when people are asked which movie, some netizens state it was one about Columbine, the shooting in the United States. Now, this is all technically alleged, just like everything else in this video. Nobody has confirmed it. Nobody has been charged of anything unless someone has the same exact name as Gattis, grew up in the same town, in the same country, and was the same age at the exact same time and went to the same high school, which, sure, could be a possibility, or this could be Gattis. This is when people start digging up even more controversial videos about Gattis, if you can believe it. So prior to this, nobody knew about the high school stabbing. And they're like, wait, there's got to be more stuff. Yes, we know that he's like an Andrew Tate hater, but also thinks exactly like Andrew Tate. He also believes that incest is okay, but there's got to be more.
Wow, wait a
and
minute.
there is more. There's a video of him in the woods, and he's explaining the definition of is
What?
any contact without consent. But the question, the woods, and he's explaining the definition of is
What?
any contact without consent. But the question is there such a thing as consent in nature? When it comes to mammals, if a male is horny, then he will simply hump the female, so to speak. It's very clear that a male human being is much stronger than a female human being, even more so in nature, because your testosterone and bone density is even higher, which means that the difference between a male and a female is even bigger in nature. You're a strong male animal, which is, naturally what you are. And now you're becoming horny. Biochemistry, right? The hormones kick in, the blood goes to your private parts. It becomes solid. Think of that kind of male in nature. Would he now then, when he is horny, go and pick some flowers for a female to try and... No. He would he ask her out on a date? Impossible. Would he ask for any consent? It is impossible. I can't think of any scenario where consent can be in any way involved when it comes to a male being horny. It just doesn't work. It's impossible. They never ask for it because in nature, as we have today, we simply act by our instincts.
Wait, I thought that there's a lot of animal does this little
Crazy.
dance,
This
little
is crazy.
feather puffing, like.
Yeah,
So what is he talking about?
I don't know.
I thought there's a lot of these, like even nature.
And then the pebbles for the penguins. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah.
And it's just very ironic that he continues to preach about how things are in nature and then, just go be a forest dweller then. Start posting these videos on social media. It's not natural. You can't pick and choose which parts of nature you like and subscribe to. It's very weird. He also continues, a male instinct is not to do foreplay to get the female in the mood. A male doesn't give a the mood. A male is simply attracted by the looks. He just wants to That's what I'm saying. We don't need consent naturally. Naturally, we are only attracted by the looks. If we find them attractive, whether they consent or not is not going to make a difference.
When I was 16, I tried to touch a girl's genitals, her breasts, her face, and her whole body when she was asleep. And
he just,
That's
just like
crazy.
that, admits to molesting a 16-year-old girl in her sleep. And all these things that he's saying, by the way, are over the course of several years. So it's not just one big video of him saying the world's most controversial, disconnected from reality, lacking activity in his prefrontal cortex to formulate a sensible thought. It's not that. It's over the span of years that he has been developing, building upon the most generic, unspecial, go on one Reddit forum of people who hate women, and you'll find these comments. In another live stream, the chat asks him to tell them something funny, and he's smiling to himself, chewing on what I can only assume to be a very tough piece of raw meat. He says, "This happened 2 days ago. No joke. I was walking in the park in the forest, and someone was walking, and I see something like dripping, and I get closer, and I see this girl, and she has no underwear on, and her private parts are..." He's very graphic with the way he describes it. It's very crass. I don't really... just dripping on the ground. So I say like, "Hey, miss, do you need help with this?" And she says, "Well, it's kind of dripping." So like, you know, kind of saying blah, blah, blah. He's so graphic, so I'm not going to repeat it. But he continues. "So I kill her and bury her in the forest." They asked for something funny. He thinks this is so funny. Now, some people say that if you correlate that with the news, they're not saying that he's the one that did this, but there was a girl that did get R-worded in the forest in that country and was left in the forest a few days prior. So it doesn't seem like that's him. I don't think that's him admitting to it, but it just imagine how much more sick that joke is. To make it even more unsettling, I couldn't find this exact clip, but a lot of his former viewers said that there's a clip of him where he talks about traveling to different countries and riding bikes. Sometimes the bikes are old. He will say sometimes he rides a 12-year-old bike. Sometimes you can go to a different country and you can rent a bike that's 2 years old and it's a much newer bike. And he says that he likes his bikes brand new and that in certain countries, new bikes are generally very cheap to purchase and ride. He's not talking about bikes.
But he's saying bikes?
Yeah. A little while after his arrest at the vegan festival for eating that squirrel, Diane gives birth to their son and a new YouTube channel pops up. The channel name is Flat Chest Luna, which is Diane's internet persona name. So it's like Flat Chest Diane. The channel consists of these 10 to 40 second clips of Diane, and they look like private videos that you would find on someone's phone, but there's no like storyline. It's not, "Oh, this is Diane's birthday, I'm taking a video of her." It's not Diane blowing out her birthday candles. It's just random. But the videos are titled something along the lines of "Showing off my preteen body," "My alcoholic mother," insert full name of Diane's mother. Another one reads, "Adjusting my thin hair because I'm insecure." Another, "My bad skin and dark eye circles are driving me nuts."
Wow.
Another, "Stop calling me a psycho." People start commenting to let Gaddis know about the channel, like someone is doing this to your girlfriend, the mother of your child. But he explains, no. Let the channel be, because Diane is his ex-girlfriend now, and she's a demon psycho. That's what he calls her. He even posts an hour-long live stream titled, "Diane is the worst person I've ever met." In the video, he accuses Diane of leaving him, abandoning him, the relationship, and of essaying their infant son, to which he provides no proof. Just take his word for it. He states that she has taken their son and left him after abusing them, both of them, for years. Which, side note, netizens already didn't like what he said about the son being essayed, because if that were the case, why didn't Gaddis do something about it before? He also says straight up in the live stream, Diane has been using the baby for, well, since birth, basically. I didn't talk about this because there was just no reason for me to stop it.
What?
Exactly. He also states that she's incredibly horrendous and that he has never met someone as psychotic and abusive in his entire life. His main proof of her unhinged personality is that her diet is chips and chocolate. He says the title of this video is that she is the worst human I've ever met in my life, because it's really true. I don't know. Yes.
So what are those videos? You're saying like these 10, 15 second long video. Is that from Diane or?
It's of him taking videos of Diane when they were together. There is one where they're in the forest and he's like, "Okay, show me," and asks her to lift up her skirt which she does, but she's wearing underpants. And then in another
so
video,
stupid.
she's just kind
Like
of
a
messing with her
kid.
hair. And I guess he crops it to just show her messing with her hair. And then it's titled, I'm balding and insecure and stuff like that.
So is he pretending to be Diane when uploading these videos?
Kind
with those
of.
titles?
But I mean, everyone knows it's not Diane's channel.
Yeah, because the way these are titles are so
Yeah,
evil.
it's like a specific channel dedicated to hating Diane.
And everybody can tell it's from him.
Yeah, because no one else would have those videos.
Right.
So it's just...
But he's not admitting it in public.
No.
He's just like, oh, let her be. Let her
Yeah.
do this. But we all know, come on, dude. You're doing this.
Yes, precisely.
Wow.
He says that Diane is so incredibly abusive and psychotic. And he says, just so you understand, if you guys in any way support her, I mean, if she ends up making a video against me, or like if you guys keep supporting her, I'll probably delete both of my channels anyway, because I cannot be bothered to continue with YouTube if you guys support her. The whole war between me and Diane is not going to end well for her. If you support her, just know that you are going completely against my channel and my diet and everything. He starts encouraging all of his viewers to call CPS to report Diane, even giving them her full legal name. All because Diane managed to flee. She shares her side of the story that no, 𝗟𝗓 has been abusive. I mean, she was scared for her life, the life of their son. She says he was even jealous of his own son while we were together. He would say things like, well, you would never treat him like that. You would never do that to him. You would never be like that with him. He would hardly give their own son attention because of that. And this just is not the life that she wants. She explains to her Patreon followers, yeah, I've done a lot of wrong too, for sure, but only because things were really not going well between us. I did also really try. I can genuinely say that I did my best just over and over again. It'll never be good enough, and I can't be blackmailed anymore. If I do delete this Patreon, you guys know why. I don't know if I should or should not. I don't know if it's worth it, being threatened and living in fear because of this, but just so you guys know what's going on. Diane's somewhat more civilized response is sending 𝗟𝗓 into like a tailspin. He starts ranting in his videos. People like write to me still, you know, oh, why don't you give her money? Why don't you give her money to support the child? Like, you don't understand the context whatsoever. And how like unnatural, how brainwashed by feminism and the government are you? In nature, a woman disrespects a guy, break up, done, bye-bye, gets another woman, moves on. That's normal. Brainwashed nowadays. They tell you that you should like, oh man, you owe somebody to a woman. We don't owe women. Anyway, what if it was the other way around? If I did something to her and I was taking care of the child, would you guys, pussies, go to her and tell her to give me money? In another video, he says, the woman I had a child with, she had 2 small breasts. So I had to leave her. It was always terrible. It was like having intimate relations with a 10-year-old.
That's so stupid. Stupid.
Yeah.
What?
Which, I mean, how would you even know that? A lot of 𝗟𝗓's anger is towards the fact that Diane started a Patreon after leaving him. I mean, more than leaving him, taking their son, he hates the fact that she has a Patreon. He feels like he created her entire online Patreon. I don't know. It gets to the point where Diane tries to rename her Patreon so 𝗟𝗓 won't know that she still has one. And he screams in a video, I found out that Diane didn't actually delete her Patreon, but only renamed it. So then I was thinking, she's not going to let it go. Because I thought that I really got to go to the Netherlands then. He's saying he's going to go from wherever he is in Europe at the time to the Netherlands to, we don't know, right? But he says he won't have to because eventually the Patreon was deleted. He then goes on to tell his viewers that this video, he's talking about all of this, is a warning to the viewers that from now on, if you mention Demon Psycho, which is what he calls Diane, or his son in any of his live streams, quote, you're getting blocked right away. So this is a warning video. Which even 𝗟𝗓's own subscribers are starting to get confused because, wait, why are you still talking about Diane? Again, this is not just one video. It's multiple videos. Video after video. Why are you so upset?
When you hurt a man,
you're in.
He is verbally trying to get back at you without physically touching you. See, a man can only hurt by physically. So it's hard to hurt a woman because you can't do that to a woman. You feel me? So it's hard for, he's hurt. That's why he's doing all this. Facts.
United States now and you're in... Wait, why are you still talking about Diane? Again, this is not just one video. It's multiple video after video. Why are you so upset? You're in the United States now and you're engaged to a woman named Jasmine.
Huh.
So he's already moved on with an American woman.
He's in the US now?
Yes, he's in the US. So why are you still so obsessed? And it just seems like everyone, including the subscribers, are getting sick of 𝗟𝗓𝗓. There's so many people sick of 𝗟𝗓𝗓. People are coming out of the woodworks after Diane leaves 𝗟𝗓𝗓 to fuck him because they're so confused. The subscriber that sent him the blood that he drank, he said, I even sent him my blood, and he's so heartless. He doesn't care about anyone. They had a falling out because the subscriber doesn't hate saunas.
Doesn't hate sauna. What does that mean?
Like, he doesn't hate saunas, but 𝗟𝗓𝗓 hates saunas. And he sends him a really aggressive voice note that's like, this is how he says it.
Is it the autism or just stupid?
The subscriber said that.
No, 𝗟𝗓𝗓 says that to the subscriber because the subscriber is like, if people like saunas, I don't know why you're being so mean about saunas. It's just a sauna.
Yeah.
And 𝗟𝗓𝗓 is like, I don't know if you're just stupid or if it's...
Wow.
Other people who have hung out with him for extended periods of time come out of the woodworks and they say, that guy, the raw meat carnivore guy, we call him Mr. Burger King. Because all he did was eat Burger King. He doesn't even follow his diet behind the scenes. They say he eats chips, he eats Burger King. One subscriber who hosted him in San Francisco said,
he's a mooch and he will use you for literally everything that you can provide him. Like, all he cares about getting is free food and a free place to stay. He won't really give you anything in return. Like, he won't give you friendship. He won't give you anything.
He also eats potato chips all the time. He just seems like a really fake person. He doesn't even practice what he preaches. She's a subscriber that hosted him. He will travel the world and stay with subscribers. When he was trying to do a meetup in Phoenix, Arizona, nobody wanted to host him. And he made a whole rant video saying every single person in Phoenix, Arizona is an idiot. They're brainwashed slaves. And he said, I will never do a meetup in Phoenix, Arizona. You guys are ungrateful and I hate all of you.
What a clown, this guy. Like, what? He's like sounding dumber and dumber.
Yeah. And one could easily put two and two together because, I mean, a lot of other subscribers that met up with him said it was weird because he wouldn't eat the whole day. He wouldn't eat anything at subscriber meetups. He would maybe have like one singular piece of raw meat, but that was it.
Oh, he's not eating the raw meat.
He's not eating. And he's not a believer of fasting. He thinks fasting is unnatural. Okay. So he's very firmly against intermittent fasting, but he wouldn't eat the whole day. So I don't know. Put two and two together. Another guy that met up with him was like, you know, that guy's super anti-water. Like, he's anti-water. He thinks you get water from the blood. But we were playing Frisbee, and this guy was out here just chugging an entire carton of water, so I don't really know. He also really loves to e-beg for donations online, and there's like always a reason he needs help. His raw meat diet is expensive. His camera broke. He needs to sue somebody for this and that and 400,000 other things. And in one video, he's actually quite audacious whilst asking for these donations. He says, the one way you could really help me is by helping me through donations. And I'm not really looking for gathering small donations. If you don't have money or whatever, it's okay. It's all cool. Don't worry about it. I'm more so looking for somebody who has some kind of money, maybe someone wealthier who can donate something a bit more in like the 100, even hundreds. I'm not really looking to like collect small donations.
This would only work if there's somebody wealthy, rich, watching my videos who really wants to support me and wants me to try to get my channel back, or for whatever reason you want to help me.
Even an Airbnb host wrote a review on 𝗟𝗓𝗓, said, 𝗟𝗓𝗓 is the worst guest I've ever had. He destroyed my entire apartment and threw eggs on my walls and windows. Eggs. I had to repaint all the walls. Another Airbnb host says, I found maggots in the trash can. I was horrified.
What? Oh, probably from the raw meat. Okay.
Then one day, a woman with a shaved head walks into the Canadian embassy in the Netherlands asking for help. She explains that her life is in danger. She has been tortured, beaten, and harmed by her husband. He has control over her passport. She can't flee back to Canada. She's scared. Her finances are under control of her husband, everything. She needs to get back to Canada where she can be safe. She said, my husband almost choked me out, inserted glue into my private part to make sure that I'm, quote, infertile. And they ask, who is your husband? This woman is Gattis's wife, Catherine Richards. She is not Diane. She is not Jasmine, the woman from America. She is Catherine Richards, Gattis's Canadian wife.
What part of timeline are we at now?
Before Diane is even attacked. So Diane leaves, he goes to America, is briefly engaged to a woman named Jasmine, and then all of a sudden he ends up in Europe and his wife walks into the embassy and is like, I'm his wife and I need to flee.
This all happens in like a few years?
A year. Like a year and a half.
Okay.
She writes a letter to the Dutch police. She says, to Middelburg Courthouse, my name is Catherine Richards, and this letter is to basically explain my involvement in the conspiracy to murder Diane, the ex-girlfriend of Gattis. Yeah. So she's explaining, we're in the Netherlands because we're trying to kill his ex-girlfriend. But I need to leave. I need to go back home to Canada because I don't want to do this anymore.
Okay.
So now the police are trying to subscribers, police alike are very confused. It has been alleged after Diane leaves, he goes to the United States and gets engaged to Jasmine. Most netizens believe he was engaged to Jasmine in the attempt to get a green card. Now he's engaged and he cheats on her and marries Catherine, a subscriber of his who is Canadian. So with Jasmine, he never introduced Jasmine to the channel. In fact, he uploaded a video where Jasmine is seen in the corner briefly. He takes down the video and re-uploads it to take Jasmine out. But with Catherine, he does introduce her to the viewers as his new Canadian wife. And people are so confused. Like, Diane left you not too long ago. You were just engaged to an American woman, and now you have a Canadian wife. So much is happening. And then he posts a video saying that he moved to Canada with her. In the video, he says, you know, I'm in Canada now. Everything in Europe reminds me of my so-called past with Diane. Everything is just the same in Europe, which is why we decided to move to Canada after all, which is where we arrived yesterday. What do you think about it? He turns to Catherine and she says, well, I'm super happy to be in Canada because it's my home. Now, here's the crazy thing. Netizens were able to analyze that video. They are not in Canada. The title is like, we moved to Canada. And they're talking about, we got to Canada yesterday. How do you feel about being in Canada, babe? How about you? They are in an Airbnb in the Netherlands, very close to Diane's home.
Like an alibi he's trying to create. But he left like a digital video that's clearly a lie.
Yeah. People were able to track down the exact Airbnb that he was staying in.
Just based on like the decors and stuff?
Yes. Also, you know, European decor and Canadian decor is vastly different. Conveniently, they are in the Netherlands around the time that Diane gets attacked with acid. So she gets attacked with acid middle of 2022.
How long after Diane left?
A year and a half.
Okay.
So all of this takes place in like a year and a half. She gets attacked with acid. She's hospitalized. So she gets beaten with that metal pipe, hospitalized. She has a severe spinal injury, fractures to her skull. She has a concussion. Thankfully, she was able to rinse as much acid off from her eyes, nose, and mouth. That's the reason she can still see. Her arm was almost amputated. Her nipple was almost falling off. She still might need a cartilage transplant to be able to breathe out of her nose again. And the strangest part is Diane knows Gattis has something to do with her attack. She firmly believes that. Right? Because who else would be involved?
Yeah.
But the attacker, there were two people that were attacking. One was a man that she did not recognize. And the other was like this younger woman, 15 or 16 years old. It seems like a father and daughter duo. So who the hell are they? How are they connected to Gattis? The only person that might be able to help Diane is Catherine, the new wife. Because she went to the police, she went to the embassy and said, listen, my husband was beating me and he's trying to kill his ex-girlfriend and that's why we're in the Netherlands. So if Diane tries to prove that it's Gattis involved in this acid attack, maybe Catherine is the only way to do that.
But does she know that Catherine has gone to the police or no?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Catherine alleges in a letter to the police, I married Gattis in 2021, so a year before the attack, maybe like 6 months before the attack. That's the same year that he starts conspiring to kill his ex-girlfriend, Diane. This letter is also to explain the physical violence I experienced and to also shed light on what kind of situation his current partner is sadly experiencing in the moment. She details in the letter the nitty-gritty of how, they conspired to kill someone. She writes and alleges that she, Gaddis, and another influencer, a friend of theirs, Florian Strack, who goes by German Carnivore online, how the three of them were in Holland together. They're driving around in Florian's white van, and Gaddis was just a dog fixated on this one tree, which is to hire a PI to find Diane's home address. Catherine says all he could talk about was kidnapping Diane, tricking her, doing this, kidnapping, killing, doing this, that, and the third. Florian was going to dress up as a delivery man, get Diane to open the door, kidnap her, bada bing, bada boom, so easy. They get the PI to track down Diane's mother's number. They get her phone number, but now they need to know Diane's home. That's when they approach a man on the beach, just a stranger. It's like, hey, in Dutch, can you explain to this woman that we're delivery drivers and we need to find her daughter's address because her daughter ordered food and we don't know how to deliver the food right now? Boom, they get her home address. Simple as that.
When we were in the white van with German Carnivore and Gaddis, it was all the time 24/7 talking about what they would do to put her in the van, bring her here, kidnap her, kill her, blah, 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 everything. It was nonstop. And the reason why is because he can't get over her. Like, he's just probably really in love with her. So, that's why he can't move on.
The pounds and pounds of raw meat that they must have consumed have fundamentally changed their brain chemistry because they have no prefrontal cortex. They now believe the next best thing to do is to upload a video pretending to be in Canada when they're still in the Netherlands. And they're like, okay, now is the time to attack because now we have an alibi. But Diane's noticing all these weird things. She has CCTV cameras in her backyard. She sees people randomly peeking through her backyard, like hooded figures peeking over her fence. And she's calling the police and she's like, I think this is my ex-boyfriend because he's very violent, he's abusive, and he's been threatening to do stuff like this. And like all countries, the sentiment was the same. Well, we can't really actually do anything until they, actually hurt you. And then we probably still can't do anything unless you're like the CEO of United Healthcare or something. They just start the same. Well, we can't really actually do anything until they, actually hurt you. And then we probably still can't do anything unless you're like the CEO of United Healthcare or something. They just start rapid fire, trying everything. That's what Catherine is alleging. Trying everything. They put a tracker into a teddy bear, tried to give it to Diane. I knocked on Diane's door. There was no answer. She wouldn't take the teddy bear. Nothing was happening. Nothing was working. And before the acid attack, Catherine alleges that she was able to flee and leave. She says, I hope my testimony can bring a bit of clarity in this situation. Gaddis wants to kill others. He wants to torture and kill people and babies and whatever he can get his hands on. If the police don't stop him now, he will go on for probably a mass murder incident or something like that. It would be very foolish not to arrest this man. It's written all over the walls that he is about to do something. Gaddis has had something against Diane for a very long time and did fantasize and talk about putting fires in her home, throwing acid on her when we were together, which have both happened after I left him. Gaddis likes to scare others to do his dirty work for him. My main concern
for like I don't know, 10 ounces, 8 ounces of acid, how much does that cost? I have no idea.
putting fires in her home, throwing acid on her when we were together, which have both happened after I left him. Gaddis likes to scare others to do his dirty work for him. My main concern at the moment is the safety of his current partner and their new child.
So there's another one.
Yeah.
How many?
Exactly. This alleged letter to the Dutch police was released, but Catherine does make a video as well, which goes over a lot of the same stuff. And she just talks about how Gaddis was fixated on wanting to throw acid in Diane's face and wanting to light her house on fire. To give you the timeline, Catherine and Gattis get together in 2021. The acid attack happens mid-2022. Then January 2023, about half a year after the acid attack, a Molotov cocktail is thrown into Diane's son's bedroom, Gattis' son's bedroom. It thankfully does not ignite, but this is clearly not an accident. Like, nobody is walking by, oh, sorry, police officer. I was just walking down the street when my everyday Molotov cocktail that I keep with me at all times slipped out of my hand and into their property. Clearly, this is a premeditated targeted attack.
Wait, so after the acid attack,
6 months later,
nobody did anything to catch...
Nobody was arrested.
Wow.
Even though Diane has CCTV footage of not the attack, but you can hear her screaming when she's attacked.
Fuck that. I'm sorry,
Her arm was
cuz.
almost amputated.
Yes.
And
all
you
of
know
that,
who did it?
Nothing was done.
Even
Nothing
if
is
you
done.
were
And then the two
50%
people,
wrong, you know who
they
did
didn't
it.
get caught. We don't know.
The dude threw acid. The Bama threw acid on you. You ain't never had nothing like this happen to you in your life. Somebody threw acid on you. You know who did it? I'm sorry, man. It's a fly in here that's bothering me.
Don't know who they are yet.
But we will soon.
Okay.
So it's a very premeditated, targeted attack, and yet nobody was hurt, thankfully. But that's because of incompetence and not lack of malice, right? The police do nothing about it. Hours later, around 1 a.m., another Molotov cocktail is thrown into the window, and this time the glass from the window goes shattering, and the Molotov cocktail explodes. The entire living room is set on fire. There's debris, glass shards flying everywhere. Neighbors are running out of their house terrified. What the hell is going on? There's a young mom and a son that live in there. They call the police, the fire department. They all show up. Diane and her son are nowhere to be seen or found. Thankfully, they were so freaked out that they did not stick around to see if whoever did this would come back. They weren't home, but had they been home, they could have died. This is 2 years after her breakup with Gattis. Diane, Catherine, and most netizens who have been following this whole saga believe the attackers to be linked to Gattis. But he firmly denies this. He says, I have moved on. I am dating another carnivore influencer now named 𝗟𝗡𝗡𝗞𝗦. We have a daughter together, a newborn baby. I mean, it's not me. It's not us. We're not connected in any way. Around that time, 2 arrests were made in 2024. 1 man and 1 girl. Not Gattis, not 𝗟𝗡𝗡𝗞𝗦, his new girlfriend. It's weirder. The 2 people arrested in connection are suspected to be 𝗟𝗡𝗡𝗞𝗦's ex-husband and 𝗟𝗡𝗡𝗞𝗦's 15-year-old daughter.
That is crazy.
It said the 15-year-old daughter even handed her own father the acid to throw onto Diane.
What? Wait. So 𝗟𝗡𝗡𝗞𝗦 is Gattis' new girlfriend.
Yes.
So this new girlfriend asked of her ex-boyfriend and
Husband.
Ex-husband and the
Daughter
to do this
Yes.
for the new boyfriend?
Allegedly. It
That is
seems
so
like there was
bizarre.
a payment made, allegedly.
Okay.
In Bitcoin, allegedly.
Really?
The daughter is later acquitted, with the defense being that she's clearly severely neglected by her parents, and that, what kind of mom runs off with a raw liver, raw organ eating carnivore on the internet, abandoning their daughter, and then allegedly enlisting the help of the daughter to hurt her new boyfriend's ex-girlfriend. That's kind of the argument the experts give. They say, I don't even think 2 15-year-olds would plot something like this, let alone a mother, allegedly. So with that argument, she is acquitted. Then you have the alleged ex-husband of 𝗟𝗡𝗡𝗞𝗦. He has been in prison in the Netherlands since the Molotov cocktail incident, January 2023. According to some sources, he has stated to the court that he was forced and threatened to do this, and he blames it on a Latvian YouTuber. He doesn't name which one, but he just names Latvian YouTuber, which Gattis is Latvian, stating that the YouTuber was also threatening him, but he's also quite vague on what kind of threats and how he was being threatened. But he does allegedly state that his connection to this random Latvian YouTuber is that his ex-wife is now dating him. Which, sure, it could be other people. But it does kind of feel and sound like Gattis and 𝗟𝗡𝗡𝗞𝗦, does it not? He has pled guilty and received 12 years in prison. Because of this connection, a lot of people are speculating that Primal Bell was the getaway driver for the alleged husband and the daughter during the attacks, and that Gaddis was probably hiding somewhere because he likes people to do his dirty work. Catherine, the ex-wife. So she's after Diane before Primal Bell. She's the one that left right before the acid attacks. She explains that she believes Belle, the new girlfriend, is being controlled by Gaddis. She says, well, not controlled, but he is most probably threatening her if she leaves, like he did with me. Side note, Gaddis on a Telegram channel doxed Catherine. Her nude photos, her parents' home address, encouraged his followers to have a bloody good time paying them a lovely visit, which you can read in between the lines, right? And she says, well, that she can't leave him. I did talk on the phone with Belle one time. She did tell me that she wanted to leave on the phone. But then afterwards, we didn't really talk about it that much. I tried to tell her everything about him. I tried to talk to her on Instagram with her, but her answers are super weird. She shows a screenshot. Catherine had texted Belle, if you escape from Gaddis, it'll crush him. Make a plan and leave him. I'll make an interview with the Jake as soon as you want me to. We all want you to leave this abuser. He doesn't respect you. Threatening you that he will eliminate your family is crazy behavior. To which Belle allegedly responds, you know, Catherine, I love him and I would never leave him because he is treating me super well. It just sounds like Gaddis is the one responding. That's what Catherine says. But again, Gaddis and Primal Bell are allegedly wanted. Some translated sources say that they are connected and as suspects, but they're on the run.
Are they still posting videos?
They're posting videos. They're being very discreet about where they are.
They're still actively right now.
Yes.
There's a YouTube channel.
Yes.
That's crazy.
They deny any involvement in any incidents. They won't even state what incidents they're referring to, but I just highly doubt it. Even in a video, Gaddis gives his viewpoints on forgiveness, and he says, forgiveness is just bullshit. In reality, nobody has ever forgiven anybody, and that's because it's not even humanly possible to forgive. I get that many of you are all in denial and believe that you did forgive people in your life, but that's because you're weak and it's easier to lie to yourself. Does this mean that you will always be miserable, dreaming about revenge if you didn't get it? Yeah, for most people it is, okay? The saying an eye for an eye has been around for ages because it is in our nature. Forget all the shit you learn from your parents, school, and media. You want to hurt somebody the same way they hurt you because it gives you pleasure.
The truth is that the only way to get over what somebody did to you is to get revenge. That's it.
I really have to say.
There is literally no other way.
It's unclear who else would have it
I
out for
live for
Diane and her son to do something like this.
But
Diane is still healing from her injuries.
I'm not going to attack anybody. I show love and respect to everybody. But if you attack one of my friends or family members, you best believe Uncle Mike is going to tell you a new one. If you do something to me, I remember, dude, let me tell y'all this real quick. You remember when COVID first hit and everybody was we ran out of toilet paper, we ran out of Lysol and all this stuff. I found this disinfectant that wasn't Lysol, it was some other brand, and it killed 99% whatever. So I bought like 5 cans of it, took one to work. We don't know what's going on. This stuff is valuable. Next day, they ran out of that stuff because everybody's buying up anything that can disinfect anything. We don't know what's going on. Everybody's in panic. And one of the guards stole my can. They took the can from me. I went into street mode. I was like, wait a minute, hold up. It's just a can of spray. That's what the supervisors and the captain and the major and all this stuff. I said, man, let me tell you something, man. I'm trying to let y'all know because I'm armed security. I'm not in the street no more. I'm trying to let y'all know that I am from the streets. It's a code. It's a code that basically this man took from me. African dude, he don't know what he doing. He just made a mistake. Gave him 3 days. I told everybody. I told the pastor. I told the PM, and I told everybody. Come tomorrow, if my shit ain't back here, all hell breaking loose. And y'all already giving me a gun. Think about what y'all doing. When I see him, all hell breaking loose. You are not going to take advantage of me. I'm sorry. It's in my nature for you not to. I'm going to win. I'm sorry, y'all. Anyway, let's get back to the video. Revenge. 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 Look up the definition of that word, revenge.
From the acid attack, she made
literally no other way.
It's unclear who else would have it.
The truth is that the only way to get over what somebody did to you is to get revenge. That's it. There is literally no other way.
It's unclear who else would have it out for Diane and her son to do something like this. Diane is still healing from her injuries from the acid attack. She may need a few more surgeries. She, like I said, almost lost her eyesight, her arm, and other parts. It was severe. The local hospital in her small town did not know how to handle acid attack burns, so it just made this already very difficult healing process more painful. Add to that, she said she was petrified because her face was hit with acid, and not that she's vain, but the whole time in the hospital she's thinking, my son is so young, he's gonna be freaked out when he sees me. Because mommy doesn't look like mommy anymore. Mommy looks scary for kids, right? And she said the only thing that kept her going was when she did finally see her son, instead of being terrified or scared or confused, he just ran to her and gave her a hug. But she is still terrified for her life. Jasmine, the American girlfriend of 𝗟𝗓, one of 𝗟𝗓's exes, says, if he's back in Europe, at some point Diane will die. It's just a matter of when. That's how much he allegedly hates Diane. Some netizens have no clue that there's all this dark, grim history around 𝗟𝗓. They just think he's a weird health freak online. Other netizens, they know everything that's been going on, and they just comment, it's funny how much of a hypocrite this guy is. Says you can be ultra naturalistic, but is an internet beggar leeching on government support and blames his fans for not sending him enough Bitcoin, eats raw meat, then acts surprised when it makes him sick and he has to go to the hospital. And you can see his clear disgust at vegan produce, calling it crazy, and then he proceeds to lift up a severed head of a goat by the horns and chew on its flesh. Other netizens talk about his followers. This guy's followers are like a cult. They really think he's a genius with all the answers. I literally saw a dude get genuinely ill from eating raw meat, and he asked about it in 𝗟𝗓's comment section. 𝗟𝗓 said something along the lines of, oh, it's just part of the process, and the dude was so brainwashed, he was like, thank you for the wisdom, 𝗟𝗓. So that is the situation with the YouTuber 𝗟𝗓. I didn't even know this was all happening. And it's crazy because it's not that, I mean, it's a very niche community that talks about it, but a lot of people know him by his health videos and don't know all this behind the scenes that has happened.
Wow.
What are your thoughts? Do you think he is associated with the attacks?
Now, let me tell you what I think,
his raw meat eating and his controversial takes?
I think that
let me know in the comments. Stay safe.
The man was almost on to something, but he didn't give it time to prosper, to make money from. But once she said something about he came to school, high school, with some knives and stabbed somebody, that's a whole different ball game, dog. You are sitting here telling me that this kid had problems way back then. Yeah. There's no way in the world that this kid is talking about drinking blood. One of her people sent them my blood. The hell is wrong? Man, there's some crazy people in this world. One thing I do know is we need to stand up for ourselves, man. If somebody do you wrong, we're supposed to have the police, right? Somebody stole $7,000 worth of equipment from me. I know the guy. I used to work with the guy. Wait a minute. This guy works with me at the Navy Yard. He stole $7,000 worth of my equipment, and y'all seem to tell me y'all can't go to his house and get my shit? Excuse me, y'all. Oh, the street coming out in me. That don't make sense. to get the job, he got a clearance. He was in the military. Y'all know where he at. Y'all know where he live at. Y'all know, all you gotta do is go there and get my stuff. I tell you what, I go get it. I go get it. Don't worry about it. Then my boss is, let the police, my boss is calling me and everything, talking about some, let the police handle it. Bullshit, excuse me, y'all. Uncle Mike gotta handle this. I'm from the streets. Went and got my stuff back. Went and got my equipment back. Yeah. It's a revenge. It's a dish served cold. Then he gonna come back. Oh my God, you gotta serve it cold, man. No gray area. Look here, Uncle Mike gonna get on up out of here, man. Don't do nothing negative to anybody who don't deserve it. That's how you stay positive. Stay positive, man. Love your fellow neighbor and your roommate or whatever the case may be. I'm gonna get on up out of here, man. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Hey, y'all tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Before I leave, let me know if you are an ender. An ender. You are a ender, meaning that you made it to the end of this video. You're hearing my voice right now. If you are ender and you hear my voice, put in the daggone comments, red horse ender. Red horse, I'm a red horse. Red horse time, red horse ender. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.